All right, well, good evening. I'm Dr. Jesse Roberts. This is Join or Die. Thank you for checking out my video. I'm in the infancy of my podcasting content creation career here. So if you could help me out, give me a like, a subscribe, share, whatever. Just help me grow. In case you don't know who I am, I'm a historian, military history, political history, economic history. Those are my main areas of study. And I'm a writer, so history and writing are my main jobs, my main go-to. But content creation, podcasting, and tech stuff, video, whatever, I do it all. So tonight is the DNC began. Boy, oh boy, what a crap show! Already, you have the protesters outside. You have nothing but constant lies going on from inside, and we're just beginning. Of course, I'm sure you have seen the clips from the DNC. They built walls around the entire event. I'll show it to you here. So you got these guys putting up a nice wall, and they're tapering it off so nobody can see. Look at all the cops showing up. So there you have it. You're not allowed to hang out outside the DNC. Clearly you're not. You're not allowed to impede on the territory of those who are better than you because they're in elected office. They're in elected office for the right side of morality. And so therefore you must stay away. It's interesting. Why would they do that? Are they putting up walls because they're worried about Republican protesters showing up? Wait, what? They're not. I'm getting news in right now. Oh, they're putting them up because of my producer speaking to me in my headset here. I am my own producer, but oh, he's telling me breaking news. Nope, they're doing it because of the they're doing this because there's Democrats outside protesting. What are they protesting for? Oh, they're protesting they want to free Palestine and they want to stop the genocide in Gaza and all that stuff. But I thought that the MAGA crowd were the extremists. Oh no, my whole worldview's been ripped upside down. So before you have a panic attack and think about this as the most existential moment in our nation's history, we need to just take a step back and breathe a little. From a historical perspective, we have been here before. Now, we have had an actual civil war. Obviously, we know all about that in the 1860s. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the 1968 Democratic National Convention. Actually, the 1968 election was one of insanity. So in case you're not aware, in 1968, Lyndon B. Johnson was president of the United States of America. He had taken over after JFK was assassinated. He was president for 1 year before he was reelected and was in office. And he took over a crap situation. I have no sympathy for establishment figures who do their best to draw out wars and bankrupt this country and create a welfare state like Lyndon Johnson did, but he did inherit a less than stellar situation when he had to, he was inheriting a situation where in Vietnam things were growing, they started to escalate, and he decided to escalate things further. And believe it or not, for years, for the first few years of the war, he was ensuring that the American people were propagandized into believing that America was winning the Vietnam War. Shocking. Can you believe that they would do such a thing? And, which is understandable. It was a political nightmare for the Johnson administration, as it would be later for the Nixon administration, but it was a thing they didn't know how to handle the situation. And not only was it an issue abroad with their foreign policy, there were lots of things going on in the States. We had It was in the midst, we were in the throes of the Cold War. So, of course, we had a really big surveillance state. We had a growing deep state, a growing permanent DC. We had a growing administrative state. And then on top of that, you have, growing administrative and permanent DC, same thing, they're interchangeable. But you had that going on. And on top of it, you had the civil rights movement, and you had the anti-war movement in the United States. So in 1968, after years of lying to the American people about how great things were going in Vietnam, things went really bad in 1968. Now, before I say that, Lyndon Johnson was instrumental in putting in place something he called the Great Society, which was a welfare state, which is, it was, of course, like Democrats always do. They want to help the working and the middle classes and the people that get left behind by society, and they do that by screwing them over for the rest of their lives, by creating government programs that do nothing to benefit their lives, really just to drag them out and make things 10 times worse. And they do that because they're so benevolent, That's why they do it. They do it because they care. They do it because they want to win elections, okay? Just like this fiasco going on in the DNC right now, the Kamala Harris-Tim Walz ticket is nothing more than a ploy to win an election. I will talk about that in a minute. But you have in 1968, so you have the civil rights movement, you have all these things going on. Writing this down real quick. And so as we're winning, as we're being told, we're going to start to draw things down in Vietnam, the opposite happens. People are getting drafted. People are not happy about getting sent to a war they want nothing to do with. Money is being sent there. People are being killed on both sides, including American soldiers. And you have rising resentment. And then in 1968, around the new year, for the Vietnamese people, there was a massive offensive by the North Vietnamese forces called the Tet Offensive. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's very famous offensive. And a big part of what happened in the Tet Offensive in 1968 was there was a portion of the way we tried to deal with the whole situation in Vietnam was to stop the influx of arms and armament and munitions and supplies coming in from Cambodia, Laos, things like that, right? Because we were not allowed to cross over to them, so we would set up bases on the border. And one area where we set that up was in what was called Khe Sanh, and Khe Sanh was besieged. The whole thing was a disaster. In Saigon, which was the capital of South Vietnam at the time, we had our forces, they were caught off guard on the Battle of Hue, which if you've seen the movie Full Metal Jacket, it's portrayed there. So it was a disaster, really bad situation. The American people saw very clearly in that moment that we were not winning the war in Vietnam and things were not going as smoothly as they had been told it was. And with issues with the economy, issues with the war in Vietnam, etc. Eventually, LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, the president of the United States, decides he's not going to run in the 1968 election. He's not going to run at all. He doesn't want to be the primary candidate. And so this is obviously something that blows the doors wide open. Now, in the United States of America, tensions are so high. You have huge division between the left and the right in the country. Big issues: Vietnam, Cold War, the growth of the deep state, the growth of the surveillance state, the bad economy. Our government was screwing everything up like they always do. And and just for the record, so the Tet Offensive began on January 30th of 1968, and basically went all the way until September. If you include the Khe Sanh, the forces were besieged there, and in total, you have. I'm trying to see what the total. So even in phase one alone, you have about 50,000 casualties. That's including American, British forces, South Vietnam forces, and so on. Okay, so they have it's a bad look. And while the North Vietnamese took heavy losses, it was still kind of the infamous aspect about the Vietnam War was that they could always draw more bodies to come fight the invaders, right? So that's what happened. And Johnson steps down. It throws the whole thing in turmoil. Who are we going to run? Who are we going to run for our presidential candidate? And Johnson's vice president, who was Hubert Humphrey, was kind of considered, but they had so Hubert Humphrey was he was VP, so he was the original VP, when LBJ ran, and he was a supporter of the Vietnam War. And before that, he had been a Minnesota senator. Minnesota people, huh? And so he was not selected outright like Kamala Harris was, but instead they decided to, they did have a primary, and then one candidate that was in consideration for a brief moment was RFK Sr., so RFK Jr.'s father. There's a lot of parallels. It seems kind of crazy so RFK Sr. was tragically assassinated before he could run, and then a few other candidates were bounced around until finally at the DNC they settled on Humphrey to be the Democratic nominee. Issue with that was, a big reason why they picked him is because he was more of the pro-Vietnam War side. They didn't really want, while a lot of the Democratic Party supporters were pretty much anti-war, wanted the thing to end, they kind of picked their guy that was more pro-war, right? So, which the Nixon thing, it's a very fascinating era of history if you really get into it. And Richard Nixon is a very fascinating character. Doesn't mean that he's somebody that I admire or like very much, but his whole thing is very interesting. If you ever want to go down a rabbit hole, learn about that whole situation. But so at the DNC that year, which was in Chicago, which we're in Chicago now for this year's DNC, they were bracing for the worst. They brought in, not only did they bring in, trying to find the exact numbers here. I wrote all this stuff down earlier. They brought in, so they brought in 7,500 regular Army troops, about 12,000 police, and 6,000 National Guard to shore up the defenses in Chicago. It was kind of the mayor of Chicago at the time, who was one of the potential candidates for president, for the presidential nominee. His name was Mayor. I can't read my Daley. So I say Mayor Richard Daley, I think. Let me just make sure that's the case. He was one of the front runners, or one of the he was often deemed as one of the let's see here. Richard Daley, yes, he was often deemed as one of the most powerful people in the Democratic Party. He was one of the potential candidates. And so they were bracing for crime and mayhem and anti-war protests. And so he brought in all these forces. And what ended up happening was there was a riot outside that was known as the Battle of Michigan Avenue. And it just kind of set off the DNC down a bad path. And that's kind of similar to what we have now, with the cops showing up, the walls, all that stuff. And eventually Humphrey gets the nod, the VP of Johnson, and Humphrey loses to Nixon. And interestingly enough, Nixon had contacted in secret the government of, so Humphrey had gone on claiming too that he would try to bring about a ceasefire, and Nixon had actually contacted the same entities in the North Vietnamese government and said that don't make a deal with Humphrey, I'll make a deal with you that's even better. So what ends up happening is Nixon gets elected under the premise that he'll draw down the Vietnam War, and Nixon does ramps things up. He even goes on in bombing campaigns in Laos and Cambodia, but that's not what we're here about. So I'm here to tell you, because mind you, before the Democratic National Convention in 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was killed, and tensions were at an all-time high. Racial tensions and civil tensions and everything. We've been in a situation like this before. We always hear from the people involved in this election that this is a very existential type threat, right? If whoever wins this thing is saving the other side from complete annihilation. That's where we're at. We're at this point where if Trump gets elected, it's the end of democracy. It's the end of the United States of America as we know it. It's the end of everything. And if Kamala Harris gets elected, it's the end of our freedom, of our traditional United States of America. How do I feel personally? I feel like it's just going to maintain the same status quo regardless of who gets elected. My reasoning behind that is Trump's first term was not exactly one in which he drained the swamp. He was really good at trying to appease the swamp. And I think that the powers that the president of the United States has are minimal compared to the people who actually kind of direct the overall thing. That's what I think is going on, especially in the Democratic Party right now. It's just a bunch of, Kamala Harris is just a figurehead. I don't think she'll have any real power whatsoever. Just like I don't think Joe Biden had any real power whatsoever either. That's my just personal opinion. So, forgive me if I seem wobbly. I've had an inner ear infection for about a week and a half now. I broke my nose many years back, and I have it's crooked a little bit. So if you see like it just kind of goes like this, dude. And my sinus is always, I get sinusitis, and then I get these stupid inner ear infections. It's awful, and then I feel like I'm gonna fall over. So I've been doing okay for the most part today, but now that it's getting later, I'm kind of feeling it. So if I have to cut it short, that's why. So here we are. We're at this new part of history. And do I think that Kamala Harris stands a real chance at this point? I don't think she stands a real chance. What a real chance means is a actual, fair, safe election. I don't know how to feel about that, right? But I think that it's fair to say that they're overplaying their hand here when you go on to any social media site that allows political content, which isn't a ton these days, it feels like. But if you go on X, if you are seeing political stuff, even if you just pull up like a web browser and it shows you news stories, it's always Kamala Harris is doing amazing. She's great. She's the best candidate of all time. Trump is terrible. Trump is evil. Trump sucks. My last video, I did kind of show you some like these sites I found that were just, this website I found, it was just like every story was bashing Trump and praising her. Like it was insane. Every story. Okay. And they claim to be an independent journalist news organization. Yeah. That just covers Donald Trump. And that's it. So real cutting edge journalism there. So they're overplaying their hand because they're going to push it to a point where, like, is their own base really buying it at this point that she's just dominating in all these states? Now all these polls come out in the swing states, she's going to crush him. She's just that people trust her more on the economy. And then you like read how they conduct these polls and oh, it's all just a bunch of bullcrap. It's a bunch of lies. But this oh, wrong. Hold on, let me pull my other thing here. So is this the right thing? So there was a Politico. Is this the right one? So this was an article from Politico. And it's titled, How the Democrats Reversed the Script on the GOP. Democrats arrive here, a city that's played host to so many drama-filled political conventions, as a party lacking in drama. Do you hear that? The Democrats arrive as the party lacking in drama. This is what I'm tired. This is so just obnoxious. This like self-righteous, we're the adults in the room. We have our stuff together. The Republicans don't. Like you'll see this stuff where the Kamala Harris campaign will post these responses to Trump's speeches or whatever, and it always says our response to whatever that was. It's just like this condescending, well, we're the adults because we're career politicians. We know what we're doing. He's not. Well, this is where you get it. This is where it comes down to. Now they are the party that is drama-free. They're disciplined, orderly, and united around VP Harris. And more to the point, thwarting former President Donald Trump's restoration. This new era of good feelings for Democrats is a far cry from last month when they faced the most existential crisis since Trump's initial election. Their leaders staring one another down in a sort of political version of nuclear brinksmanship. And it differs from so many previous conventions when there was often intra-party tension over policy, politics, personnel of all three, looming above all proceedings. Yeah, imagine a political convention where the candidates differed on policy and were free thinking and actually had their own plan. But not this convention. They're just going to do what they're all in lockstep together. Politico's right. But Politico's praising that fact. Yes, there's still still protests over the Middle East. But, oh well. It threatens the Democrats' fragile coalition and electoral map. However, as the convention gets underway, the larger, more consequential story is what the party has become. How they differ from, this is just pure propaganda. Like, it's so much propaganda. Okay, so the Democrats are a healthier, better organized, more hierarchical, and even ruthless party. More hierarchical. Isn't that a bad thing? Isn't hierarchy more about meritocracy? United against Trump more than they are dedicated to any ideological project, which is true. They've adopted what's an Al Davis platform, just win, baby. You're right. They don't have a platform. They're bragging about the DNC, the Democratic Party, not having an actual platform other than we just have to win. How is that beneficial for the country at all? If that's the mindset, imagine having that mindset for any other thing in your life. I go for a job interview. Well, what are you going to do when you break here? Well, I just need to get the job. That's all that matters. Well, why would I hire you if you're like, I don't care. You just hire me. You give me the job. And you'll do everything that you can to get the job with no plan on actually doing the job or telling people what you're going to do in the job. It wouldn't work that way in any other aspect of your life. The VP is discarding her now inconvenient left-wing proposals from her 2020 primary bid. Oh yeah, that's right. She was what? A radical, wasn't she? She was a radical leftist. She's inviting a cast of Obama-era Democratic consultants onto the campaign she inherited from Biden. Wait, is that a question mark? She's inviting a cast of Obama-era Democratic consultants onto the campaign she's inherited from Biden? I don't know how that's a question, but okay. Bill Clinton's old saw that Democrats fall in love where Republicans fall in line has been reversed. Now, let's stipulate right at the start, this doesn't mean Harris is sure to prevail in November. Her challenges and those of the party remain. The country is still divided. The Electoral College creates structural difficulties. Voters are unhappy with the party in power and her past positions, race, gender, offer the GOP fodder. Yeah, because that's what the GOP's been going after. Her race and her gender. Give me a break. Yeah, this is true. Voters are unhappy with the party in power and her past positions because what party's in power, Politico? Who? Is it Biden and Kamala Harris? Oh, yeah, it is. But if they were her race and gender, that's Trump attacks it all the time. All right, so along David Axelrod, the longtime Democratic strategist, puts it, the great summer swap of 2024 only handed the party a chance to compete. It hardly guaranteed victory. Sorry, I'm trying to have trouble reading because I had this ear infection, so I'm like, I get kind of, my screen moves all over the place. Here, happy days aren't here again just yet. Plus, this is a very awkwardly written article. That Democrats made such a wrenching decision, though, illuminates a crucial distinction between the parties. Saddled with an aging and unpopular incumbent president and his incumbent vice president, oh yeah, that person, Democrats used President Biden's disastrous debate performance to stage what was effectively a front bench putsch. Oh, you mean a coup? Orchestrated by other party leaders, Biden's ouster revealed how pragmatic, cold-eyed, and unsentimental Democrats have become in the age of Trump. Yep. The sitting president was their vessel, and no criticism was brooked until 9:30 p.m. on June 27th, when it at last was undeniable. This article is written terribly. It's like so awkward. When it at last was undeniable to so many Democrats that Biden had become something else, Trump's enabler. Oh yeah. Well, I'm just trying to get to see if there's anything else interesting to talk about in this, but not really. So basically, it says here that like Biden's campaign would have survived had it not been for Nancy Pelosi's relentlessness. Now, according to Politico, the non-MAGA Republicans only wish they could pull off this amazing move of overthrowing the democratically chosen nominee for president. I mean, Politico does have some decent points here. You got the Democrats have become what Republicans once were. Brutally efficient, on-message, establishment-driven, and singularly committed to winning general elections. There you go. They are establishment-driven. They're not the party that's cool. They're not the party of the hippies. They're not the party of your, I know so many people in my life that think that they're cool because they're liberals. Like, I'm a liberal, I'm laid back, I'm easygoing and cool. I accept everybody except for people that disagree with me. I act like a raging psycho about it. But they're not the cool party anymore. They're the establishment. What astonishes Democrats is that Republicans can't grasp this. That, to borrow a phrase, they haven't gotten tired of all the losing. For all our flaws, when we see a problem, we tend to take it on, said Ann Caprara, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker's chief of staff. And when you lose, when you think you're going to win, it usually prompts introspection, but I don't see that with these guys. Okay, so fair point. The GOP's Trump addiction is well documented. What about the Democratic Party's Trump addiction? So basically, you can go back and read the rest of this if you would like. They're essentially implying that this is the party that has it together, and the Republicans are not. For several reasons, they have a singular vision for the party, that's to win the election, to beat Trump, and they stay on message, and they're all in lockstep together, and they are establishment driven. Sorry, the Democrats, you're not the cool party anymore. You're not the cool party of, the anti-war hippies and all this stuff. No, most of the time you're actually the opposite now. You're voting for people that actively support war. And if you don't believe so, Kamala Harris was right there voting to send aid packages to Ukraine, and she's even discussed supporting Israel's ongoing war in Gaza. Excuse me, even though it's grossly unpopular with her base. Now, this is just a joke, right? Because last night we had the release of, I'll show it to you here, the Democratic National Convention released their final platform. So this is the Democratic Party platform that they will all vote on and vote to pass through. So Biden stepped down. What was that? So June 27th was the debate. So when did Biden step down from being the nominee? It's probably been about a month, right? Let's see. When did Biden drop out of the race? July 21st. Okay, so it's been about a month. And they put out the new party platform. And guess who the nominee is according to the DNC party platform? Yeah, not Kamala Harris. It's Joe Biden. Joe Biden is named in this document several times. They refer to the president throughout the whole thing. Kamala Harris is the VP in this entire document. She's not the nominee. You're telling me that in a month you didn't have the time to go back and edit this and fix it or actually get what Kamala Harris's platform is. Does this not seem a little weird to anybody else? She does not have a platform. She's been refusing to do any interviews with journalists, actual hard-hitting interviews or interviews that are not scripted. She's been refusing. She's only doing rallies and speeches, and which she's good at playing that part. But we don't know what her policy platform is still, except for that weird kind of plagiarized economic proposal she put out in North Carolina, where she was talking about tips, no taxes on tips, and a bigger child tax credit, and price gouging, which I've covered this extensively. That's just a bunch of BS. It's just a bunch of political talk. Price gouging is hardly a thing, and there's not much you can do about it when it is a thing in emergencies and such. So this is just, she hasn't given us policy. And then what they give you is this 90-page document here with Biden's name. I mean, she's not the candidate in this. And here we go. It's just how see President Biden and Vice President Harris took office during the time. So it's just, look at this. During record job loss, record crime. This is just the typical talking points of how great Biden's done saving us from the economic crisis that we've faced. If you want to download this, you can go to the, I think it's just the Democrats.org website. And I've scrolled through it. It just says everything about, what you can imagine, what it says. According to Biden, we've added 16 million new jobs. And, our economy grew the fastest of any major economy in the world. Notice how they always compare us to the world. They've done that historically. I talked about, I shared a clip of Nixon talking on Saturday after he tried the whole price fixing thing and it failed. He talked about it like, compared to the rest of the world, we're doing great. Well, yeah, but that's just like, it's not, it doesn't matter. The rest of the world is struggling too. Does not make us does not make me feel better that America is doing better. So typical talking points. We've added 16 million jobs, which were all lost during the pandemic. It's like anybody with a brain can see through that stuff. They've erased the 40% of the wage inequality gap that took 4 decades to build. Yeah, because, less women are having children and are just staying in the workplace. So talking about how great he's done with infrastructure, how great they talk about the CHIPS Act, which I've covered this in a video, was a colossal waste of money, and nothing's been accomplished from it. And then this idea that subsidizing manufacturing is somehow akin to investing. It's just, every time they subsidize stuff, it is tied to other stipulations, and it's very, very time consuming. It's all red tape. It doesn't get anything accomplished. Now, this whole thing, of course, so a lot of this just comes down to them talking about how Trump gave tax cuts to the wealthy, and it's just typical. There's nothing here of substance. Okay, this is just the typical Democrat way of, we throw money at problems, and guess what? It will not solve your problems. Okay, like, it just, these people don't understand. So what it comes down to, so I'm tired of, like, if you want to go and read the whole thing, be my guest. It's just stupid. She's not even the person that put that out or sat down and came up with that plan. She's just going to take it and run with it. And then you'll probably won't even know what her real plan is. It'll be like Biden in 2020. I talked to people in 2020 about that when they were going to vote for Biden. And I'm like, I wouldn't vote for him if you paid me to, and he hasn't given you any policy positions. And someone had told me, well, maybe you just have to vote for him to find out what his policy positions are. And I was like, what? Then what are you voting for? You're voting for the antithesis of the guy you hate because of propaganda. So it's like you're voting for nothing. You're voting on a non-existent candidate. And that's what they believed. They said, well, this is the right thing to do. We just need to vote on the not Trump candidate. That's what it came down to. And so you have, that whole ordeal where they did that with Biden. They're doing that now with Harris. This is nothing here. There's no policy that's of her concoction. And she's up there railing against the current economy and how awful things are. And she's the current administration, so she's railing against her. Sorry. She's railing against her own administration. So she's railing against herself. Interestingly enough. And this whole idea that the problem with this country economically is that the ultra wealthy don't pay their fair share. They just don't understand how economics works. So they see somebody with billions of dollars to their name, like Elon Musk, and they just assume what? He's got a couple $100 billion in a bank account somewhere. Ultra wealthy people take a very small cut of whatever their worth is. They're somewhat notorious for it. And so, like Elon Musk has said that he's had to take loans out to live. This guy's was the richest man in the world. Okay. So they invest in production. That's how they maintain wealth. They look at the world a different way. They take their money. They're not investing in the stock market. They invest. Look at Elon Musk. He invests in Tesla, invests in building rockets. He invests in Twitter. He's doing AI. This stuff gives people more jobs. That's creating more wealth by passing it along. Taxing the piss out of that person so the government steals that money and then blows it away is not beneficial for anybody. They're duping people into thinking that tax money benefits them. How? Oh, we get roads and bridges and okay, fine, keep that then. What about the veterans? And okay, keep that then. Get rid of everything else. The billionaire, the ultra rich need to get taxed to no end so they can pay for their wars in Gaza and pay for their wars in Ukraine, and they can pay for their government jobs where people don't do anything and their bureaucracy, and they can pay for inspectors to go around and try to ruin your business and it's just and they'll pay for more people to collect taxes. There was a post a few months back where Biden was bragging about, I don't think he's actually running his social media, but Biden's bragging about how they recovered $1 billion in unpaid taxes in 1 month from rich people. $1 billion. Like, wow. What's that gonna fund you for 15 whole freaking seconds? Like, they just don't understand how economics works. Okay. And the people that are below them are too dumb to understand. So they talk about the middle class. They've done a very good job of destroying the middle class, and they've been doing it for years. And they claim that the reason why the middle class struggles is because the ultra rich don't pay their fair share. Well, that's not true. Because the idea behind the middle class is that they're the small business owners and they're the backbone of America, etc., etc. So if they're not really dependent on these major corporations, it shouldn't help the middle class anyways. But also, so you're talking about, okay, well, then it's going to help the poor and working class. Well, they already get, if you're under a certain threshold, you barely pay taxes as it is. And they're not just going to hand you money from the billionaires just for nothing. They're going to take all the money for themselves and blow it on crap. This is the platform, though. Taxes. Taxes, 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 taxes. Now, I want to show you something that I saw the other night that was super dumb. Which, of course, it came out of a Democrat's mouth. So, and I was quite frankly baffled by how stupid this take was. Oh, if you want to see something real interesting, look at this number. But taxes will pay for this. Ready? This is the number of unfunded liabilities. Okay? So that means in the long term, that's stuff we're going to have to pay for. Look at that number, okay? That's like Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. That stuff in the long term, we are not going to ever be able to pay for that, afford that ever. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about cutting spending, cutting the national debt, and so on. So I wanted to show this super dumb clip. Oh, God, where is it? This is a senator from I think it's a senator. Here we go. Now, I want you to tell me, I want you to watch this clip and tell me that this is not one of the dumbest things you've ever heard in your life from a politician. Okay? This is Patty Murray, a senator from I don't know where, and I don't care. All I know is that she's a moron. Okay, ready?
We need to get one thing clear. Despite all the bogeymen that Republicans like to point to driving the national debt, the reality is that the single biggest driver of our national debt since 2001 has been Republican tax cuts. The Trump and Bush tax cuts have cost our nation over $10 trillion and counting.
Oh my God,
what
these people
do Republicans want to do if they return to power? What's at the top of the Trump economic agenda? Do they want to solve the child care crisis? Do they want to extend
the child
healthcare
care
credits
crisis
that are saving millions of families thousands of dollars? Of course not. They want more tax cuts for the ultra wealthy and biggest corporations. Republicans' big economic vision is to extend their horribly one-sided Trump tax cuts.
See, it's just, okay. Can somebody please explain to me how tax cuts are costing the government trillions of dollars? You're saying that money that you haven't received, money you haven't stolen is costing the government trillions of dollars. That's the mindset. She's a Washington senator. So you're saying you need to steal money from corporations to give it to people that need the money more? That's what you're saying, because you're saying it's going to pay for healthcare, it's going to pay for child care and all this dumb stuff. Like, sorry, my child would never go to a government-run child care facility, dude. I don't care if I have no money at all. I will work from home then. Because that's what, of course you want that. You want to raise my kid from freaking birth into college. But this logic makes no sense to me. Tax cuts don't cost anybody anything. The government's not paying for tax cuts. Like, tax cuts work where you should be rewarded for expenditures for production and things like that. And there's so many loopholes in the tax code for corporations and stuff like that. But to claim that tax cuts have cost our government $10 trillion Sorry, what did she go? Bush and Trump tax cuts. You know, that's what's cost our government so much money. They don't understand how this works. They really don't. They are of the persuasion where they believe that them collecting taxes is the right of the government. And it is your job as the governed to pay taxes. Why is the government entitled to, why is it a sin and a crime to be wealthy and to make money and not give it to the government, to give it away to other people or blow it on stuff? Why is it's you notice how they demonize the wealthy? They demonize corporations. It's funny because corporations and the wealthy overwhelmingly support them. They'll say stuff in this stupid 2024 agenda or 2024 platform that Trump just wants to help his billionaire friends. I assure you the Democratic Party has more billionaire friends than Trump does. And if they're going to take all their money away, why would they overwhelmingly support Democrats? But I see that and I'm just like, oh, these people they're just stupid and their base is stupid. It doesn't, no. What's cost this country the tens of trillions of dollars of debt we're in is you idiots blowing our money, printing money to blow it. It's people that haven't been able to see past the fact that Keynesian economics does not work. Government spending does not stimulate the economy. But of course it does. It gives us a higher GDP. Well, GDP is a stupid metric. It's a political metric in economics. The only people that benefit from GDP are the freaking politicians who peddle it. It's just consumption. That's what GDP is. It's how much, it's if the government, cuts you a check and then you go blow that check on something, oh, that's like it's GDP. That's GDP. These people are so stupid. When I saw that, I was mind blown with how dumb it is. So we have the DNC tonight, and mind you, Joe Biden was he's not going to stay for Kamala Harris's acceptance speech. Just to make sure that's true before I tell you that for sure. I saw that earlier. I fact checked it earlier, but I'm going to see if anything's changed. Before I don't want to be that guy and spread conspiracy theories. I don't know. I'm trying to see if that's still a thing. Of course, I can't find that anywhere now I'm using Google on my phone, so. Either way, that's what I saw earlier. I think it was a Breitbart article. And interesting, huh? Because there's actually, Biden said that they pushed him out. And it doesn't surprise me because Bernie Sanders admitted to Theo Von the other day that when he was to be the nominee twice, they said, no, you're not. And they just kind of do what they want. They play by their own rules. And Biden is probably pissed, as old and senile as he is. This is his time to be president, and he was the nominee, and people wanted him. And they said, no, you're not. So why would he want to stick around and listen to that bull crap anyways? Plus, he can't stay out past a certain time. He'll give his little spiel and leave. But my phone, every time I say Google, it goes, ugh. Because I'm an idiot and I have a Google phone. Because, I'm an Android guy and I have a Google Pixel, refurbished one I got for like $150. It's a nice phone, but my stupid Google phone listens to me. Now, as I upload this video on some Google products, but he's going to pass the torch on to her. And it's very clear, unlike this Politico article that says they've got it together. They're the party of the adults. They just have no drama. You guys overthrew It was a coup to oust the guy that was selected democratically to be the nominee. But you're right. It's not a coup. It's just she won the delegates. And they'll always come up with some excuse that makes it legal, like the super delegates in 2016, when Bernie should have been the guy and they picked Hillary Clinton, and then that backfired in their dumb faces. But, and so now here we are, the Democratic National Convention, and guess what they're talking about? Yes, Trump. But guess what they're talking about with Trump? What do you think that they're talking about with Trump the whole time? The P word that ends with a 5. The Project 2025. Sorry, I said the manifesto that shall not be spoken. These people are so dumb. They're so brainwashed. It's like the guy can say 7,000 times it's not his thing. Okay? They don't care. They will not listen to that. They will believe it to the end that is Trump's platform. Because here we go. We're talking about Project 2025 again. This is some idiot from my state of Michigan, which really, really sickens me. But here we go. Ready? This is laughable. Ready?
But what it means is that under Project 2025, Donald Trump would be able to weaponize the Department of Justice to go after his political opponents. He could even turn the FBI into his own personal police force.
Oh, yeah. Why did she listen how she says 2025?
But what it means is that under Project 2025.
2025. I have to make sure my T's are enunciated for 2025. Like, really? He'll go after you using the DOJ. Well, the DOJ has already been weaponized against him, and the DOJ is more than happy to go after Trump. So what makes you think they'll listen to him? Or he'll turn the FBI into his own, secret police. You mean like they already are for your side? These people don't understand how this works. Just because Trump is president doesn't mean that he is God. And he just snaps his fingers and he goes, you go do this now. And the people that hated his guts and were actively colluding against him are going to get up and just go and go and do his bidding now. Like, you honestly think that's going to happen? You don't understand how this works. Okay? Dictators don't come to power that way. Dictators have military, and they have often paramilitary forces, and they often have their people in other branches of the government that will support them, that, the more powerful branches of government. This is a guy that had everybody going against him, including people in his party. Well, he's gonna turn the FBI into his own personal police force. What an idiot. She's from Michigan, too. Ashamed. Here we go. Here's the typical one. Ready? It's so predictable. It's gonna be the same talking points. Project 2025. He wants to take away women's rights. He wants to go back to where white men were on top. He praised white supremacists. Now it'll be that what do you think he told people to do during COVID? What do you think he said? He said, go and do what? Inject. This guy here's going to tell us. Whoever Robert Garcia is, some ass clown.
What we needed at that moment was national leadership. But instead, we got Donald Trump.
Listen to how there's 15 people there too.
While schools closed and dead bodies filled morgues, Donald Trump downplayed the virus.
And that was Trump's fault.
He told us to inject bleach into our bodies.
Okay, so just for the record, that guy's an idiot, or he thinks you're an idiot, and he knows his base is a bunch of idiots because they say that all the time. He never said that ever. So here we go. We continue down this road. Now, in regards to COVID, We needed national leadership. Okay, well, what was the guy to do when the entire establishment and most politicians did nothing but disparage him constantly? Trump could have been like King Arthur in that moment, and people would have still, whatever. Like, he could have brought the cure for COVID to you in a golden syringe, and it wouldn't have mattered because they would have all demonized him for it. With the vaccine, they said, no, I'm not putting that in my body. He came up with that. And then they were automatically just parroting it left, right, and center when they became the administration. It's like Trump was never allowed to be the national leader guy. Okay? You never would have allowed that to happen. You guys would have just laughed at him and mocked him because he's not a politician like you. He's stupid. He never said inject bleach into your freaking body. Do your damn research. Go ahead and do a search. If you don't believe me. That never happened. He never praised white supremacists as very fine people. He never called veterans suckers and losers. He never said inject bleach. Go on down the list. It never happened. It's just propaganda. But that's all that matters, is that they can sell you on this crap. That was Mallory McMorrow who said, Project 2025, we are using as this private police force. Ugh, these people sicken me. All right. Here we go. That's it. Look at Project 2025 in her hands.
Hello!
Look at that thing.
I'm Michigan State Senator Mallory McMorrow, and
Oh, so cringe.
this is Project 2025.
Ready? I'm going to do that too. And this is Project 2025. Dude, like, these people are so cringe. Trying to be like dramatic. Look at this book that we've talked about incessantly, and it's not even his. But we have to keep going with it because we have nothing and we suck. Oh my gosh, dude. The base will eat all that up. Doesn't matter. Oh, here's what I saw. It was a Roz alert thing that said, Biden and Joe Biden will not be attending her nomination speech and plan to leave the DNC after his farewell address later today. And of course, they're going to paint him to be the greatest president of our time. Just a guy that's president for the ages. He led us through a crisis. He did such good things. And then in their stupid little agenda, or whatever you want to call it, their platform, they talk about in there how we need to get over the hyperpolarization of this country and get back to unity. What party in this country do you think was the most implicit in sowing disunion? Was it Republicans? Huh? How many? I run into Republicans all the time, and they're always willing to go after me, and they're willing to punch me, punch their political beliefs down my throat, and they're out committing crimes all the time, doing violent things and rioting, and they're always just out being a menace. No. Oh wait, yeah. What side might that be? But they want union. They want unity again. Remember, Joe Biden said at his acceptance speech, "I'm not here just to be president for the 80 million people that voted for me. I'm here to win over the other 80 million people that didn't vote for me." Next day, they're all right-wing extremists. They're terrorists. They're MAGA. They're ultra MAGA. Ugh, these people are so sick. Look at this. This is so cringy, dude. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are just the worst. He's awful. Oh, I'm a stupid white guy. We're into that stereotype, are we? Oh, yeah, and she's the foil, you know, she's the straight guy in the skit.
I just Dorito.
Look, I've never been in a gas station in my life.
Huh? Oh, Dougie, there they are. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, doggy.
And you want this?
You see corn nuts over there,
Isn't this
Tim?
it?
Oh, yeah,
That's the big. There you go. That's funny. You see corn nuts over there?
Oh, all I eat is poison. All I eat is look at us. We're like you. We're just like you. We eat Doritos. Like we eat poor people food. We're just like you. Isn't it funny how now they're trying to do the whole populism thing? They've changed they flipped the tables to be like, we care about normal people. Normal people like things like Doritos, and guys like Tim Walz who like to hunt and wear camo, and they like to, you know, they're masculine men who are also feminists too. It's just so like shallow. It's such an empty thing. And I don't believe that they have much of a chance. Now, I don't know if this is true, okay? This is from Owen Schroyer, a guy, he works with what the hell's InfoWars. Okay. And this is the DNC inside. Now, there are people up on the Jumbotron here. They're speaking, okay? So you see them down there, and this place is empty. And Kamala Harris is her campaign's all too quick to find some empty corner at a Trump rally and be like, look, nobody's there. And then the Kamala HQ Lies page will be like, no, here's the actual angle. But I wouldn't be surprised if nobody's there. Last week, I think it was a week ago today, when Trump and it's getting late. I'm sorry. Trump and Elon Musk had the Twitter space. They had 1.5 million people like listen to the thing while it was live. And then Elon Musk says it's been like, you know, at least reached over 1 billion people. And I'm gonna check right now. I'm sure it's millions of people by now have listened to it. Let me just check it. Yeah, Grok 2 is here, guys. I have if you want to follow me on X, I'm Join or Die News. If you want to find out how to spell that, just go to the go into my bio on my channel here, and the link is there. Come on, where are you? I just want to see what the current listener, man, he tweets a lot. Why would he do that? Yeah, Milton Friedman. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm scrolling. I saw a Milton Friedman clip. I'm like a Ron Paul libertarian, but I'm all into the Austrian economics guys. But I do like some of the Chicago school stuff. I do like Friedman, and I really like Thomas Sowell. I mean, who doesn't like Thomas Sowell, right? Genius guy. That guy was brilliant. Come on. I mean, he is brilliant. He's getting up there, you know. Come on, Musk. Where did you post that thing? Goodness, great. President. Let's see. Oh, that's not it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'll talk to you while we're scrolling here, but it'll be interesting to see what the final turnout will be like. But I have a feeling. Yeah, look at this. So this is the newest recording. So this is an edited recording, mind you. Has 29 million people listen to it. Now, my point with that is, do you think that 1.5 million people would show up to listen to Kamala Harris speak? Nope. Do you think that people are going to pack this arena or whatever in Chicago to watch them? No, I don't. I don't believe it. I'm sure these rallies, maybe they're organic. I don't really care. All I know is Trump, when he makes that phone call, he gets people that love him and people that hate him tuning in. Like a few weeks ago, remember he was taking questions from the press, and all these leftists were on X posting their responses to him while he was giving his responses to the media. And it's like, I wouldn't do that for Kamala Harris. I would not sit there and watch her speak live. For starters, I can't stand her. If she's president, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't listen to her. I can't watch videos of her. I physically shudder most of the time when I do. So when it comes to Trump, they all watch. They can't look away. So an arena for him will be, like the convention, the RNC was packed compared to probably this. And this is because they're claiming this is an exciting and invigorating time. I don't really think it is to people. I think they'll vote for her because she's not Trump, but it's not an exciting platform. They're not great entertainers. Just, if they were having a bunch of free concerts at the same, people would probably pack it out. But I just don't think that people are like that geeked about this DNC, unless they're there to protest. And they started getting into it last night with the protests. So if you really want to take the time to potentially gouge your eyeballs out, go ahead and download their agenda and look through it. It's very fascinating that, oh boy. It's very fascinating how much they obsess about this Project 2025 thing and how they have nothing. Look at this guy. They're just the party of joy.
Republican side, it's a little more negative. It's more making it more personal. I don't think that's a good course for them. I think Kamala Harris and her VP pick are much more hopeful and positive.
To see, that's what it is. It's just about how it makes me feel. They're more hopeful, positive. They just make it personal if you're Trump. Yeah, because that's not what the entire Harris Walls thing has been. It's just been attack. They will spend most of their speeches attacking Trump and Vance. This election's stupid and it sucks, and I'm ready for it to be over, and it's going to be way more chaotic in the next several weeks, basically. And one of my kids the other day was like, "Oh, when's the election, Dad?" I'm like, "It's November or whatever." And they're like, "Well, I can't wait." It's like, "Oh, buddy, I believe you. Like, to you it sounds fun and exciting, but to me it's like I don't even want to get there, dude. I'm like dreading it." But it's gonna happen one way or the other. Yeah, there's so much I could talk about here, but I'm not going to drag it out for too much longer. But that video, I wanted to show you that guy being like, they're more positive and more hopeful. Like, that's not relevant. That's not what matters. How they make you feel like warm and fuzzy, because it's like they're just the nice words when they don't. Actually, they attack Trump 24/7. Notice how they've dropped the fascism, totalitarian talk, though. That's not cool anymore. They're just weird. All right, y'all. Well, I'm gonna cut off there for the night. If you would like to follow me on X, it's joinr.news, and please give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me a comment, give me a shout, as our Canadian friends say. And if you could, feedback helps. I know my camera, I don't have a really good camera. It's just kind of grainy. It's this crappy little webcam. I'm working my way up. Okay, I'm a recent PhD grad, got a wife in med school. I got my fresh new PhD there, and I'm working independently. So I'm trying to save up money for a better camera. So please just bear with my crappy grainy camera for now. I did get this new mic set up. Yeah, and I got a new computer set up here. Like I bought this new nice put together this nice computer parts to stream much faster. So if you could just comment, like, subscribe, help me move on up in this world. I enjoy doing this. I also have a Substack. I can link that if you would like, and I'll put the link in the comments. I haven't really been super active on it. I'm trying to get more active on it, but now that I'm doing this, I'm trying to bust that out. and it's free. You don't have to pay for it unless you want to. That would really help me out. But if it's free, so don't think it's a Substack. You have to download it and pay for it. But all right, once again, I'm Dr. Jesse Roberts. This has been Join or Die. Please have a blessed and wonderful night, and try to remember, like I said earlier, we've been here before. It's not like this level of tension is anything new. Humans tend to think we are very much presentist, as a term, like we have a very presentist perspective where we think everything right now is so consequential, and everything in the past could never come close to what's going on here now. And we have been in places like this before, this divided even. And just hang in there. Really, no matter who wins this election, it's a long way to go. We need to get along and really push forward and try to fix the brokenness of this country that we can from the ground up. Just go out there and spread the good word. All right, have a great night. Bye.